welcome back into episode 23. So in this video and probably the next video, I'm going to handle the disassembly of the fuel distributor, the refurbishing, replacing all the O-rings and the diaphragm, and then the reassembly. And I'll probably go on to maybe a third or fourth video actually mocking up the entire fueling system on the bench. So I've got the fuel distributor, the pump, I'll probably put a filter in just to protect the injectors and things, the fuel lines and the injectors squirting into little pots with the MAF and everything, so we can actually check that it all works. The last thing I want to do is get it all back in the engine bay and then find out that I've got something wrong or there's, whatever, who knows what could go wrong. So that should be quite interesting as well. But let's crack on with this one first. Okay, so this is where I'm going to be doing the fuel distributor rebuild. I've got 8 very clean tubs. I've got a brand new sheet of plastic on my workbench, so it's completely clean. I keep seeing bits of grit on it. And I have one fuel distributor. I think what I'll do is probably disassemble and then we'll wipe all this clean again. That's the rebuild kit for another bit. Right, and I have the rebuild kit. So I'm not going to open that yet. I'm going to disassemble this and we'll see what we've got. And then we can go from there. Right, so you can see the edge of the shim that's sort of been folded up. So if I just fold that back, if I can. Don't know if you can see on the camera, that's gone nice and flat now. The adjustable's getting on it. Right. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. So that is literally just a very thin nut, as you can see. And a shim that just basically bent up to stop. She bent down now, isn't it? I probably overhit it. It's just to stop the nut coming undone. Now, as I understand, there's a plunger there that's really precisely machined that I must not damage. So I need to take it out and I'll wrap it and put it somewhere very safe. If I can get it out. Interesting. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to heat this up, which will hopefully allow the sealant or whatever's holding that together just to separate. I'm actually going to pop it in the oven. I think it's the easier way. I've seen some people use air guns on it and things like that. I don't have an air gun, so that isn't going to be an option here. Right, I've warmed it up to about 70 degrees in the oven. I've replaced 2 of the screws there just to hold it together. I don't want it to suddenly sort of break open and all the springs come flying out and I'm a bit stuck. So I'm just using those to sort of retain it. Let's see if it's interested in opening up now. Okay, now heated up to 80 degrees. Let's have a try again. Yes, so you can see, if I just waggle it, can you see the 2 halves are now moving apart separately? So that's hot enough now to have heated up the sort of sealant that holds the 2 together. I should be able to pull them apart now. Let the cat in, otherwise it won't stop meowing. So I'll give you a look so you know what I'm up to. You can see there's a gap now, and you start to see the bits on the inside. I'm just gently waggling it apart. Obviously the screws will stop it coming apart too far. There we go. Okay. Right. There you have it. You can see quite a lot of build up on the inside of that one. Let's pop that out of the way for a second. And then on this side, obviously a couple of the springs fell off. One of the springs fell over. Let's put it back with my shaky hands. We can just have a look what we've got. So this is how I'm going to number up the cylinders. I have my drawing with the pipes at the bottom, which are these, and then starting from this cylinder, working round 1 to 8. And then I have my labelled boxes here, again 1 to 8. They're nice and clean, so I'm now going to take each of the bits from, say, cylinder 1 and put it in box 1 and repeat. Here we now have the diaphragm. Let me just see if I can pick it up. Oh, there it is. So that's the diaphragm. It's a very thin piece of metal, but we'll put that to one side. And there's each of the chambers. So interesting, you can see there's quite a lot of sort of build up on some of these. I'm guessing this is like a gel almost, like a glue. Not sure where that comes from. I don't know if that's something you get from the fuel, or it's part of the gasket or the sort of glue that is holding all together, or if it's something that just comes out of fuel. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. If you know, of course, let me know. But I can tell you now that would have been gunging it up because it's all inside the pipework. So let's pick that out now. I might go get I've got some very nice little tweezers we could use for this job. Okay. But that's it at the moment. So we're going to give that a clean up, very gentle clean up. Just check all of these passageways are clear. I can visually inspect them quite nicely actually. There's probably, I'll check online, but I think there's an O-ring there to replace, and there's probably something on the inside. I can see one in there. But we'll clean this one up, make sure it's tidy, and then we can start thinking about reassembly. I'll put that to one side for the minute. So with this half, what I'm trying to do now is get this shaft out, which holds the plunger. I can see it comes out. You can just see the 8 little O-rings down there just shining. I'm just wobbling back and forth and trying to pull it out, but it's in there very tight. It's in there very tight. There, she's out. Right, so now we've got the shaft out. We should be now able to press out the plunger that's in the middle. I think it should come out freer, but that's probably just a function of how old it is. Actually, that wasn't so hard. I just pushed it on the bench like this, and it freed it up, so that's now coming out. I want to get a bag quickly before I take it out, so I've got something to store it in and wrap it in some tissue. It jams one way. There we go. So that is the interesting. Just looking for the marks down it. There's a couple of little scratches on the side. If they come out on the camera, you can just see them. Anyway, I'll put it away. Let's wrap it so it's safe. It mustn't get scratched or dirty, so obviously I can clean it up, but I'm more worried about it getting scratched. So that'll sit there nicely wrapped up. And we can clean up the rest of the we can clean up the rest of the parts, and then it's the assembly side of things. But first I really want to get this is basically just rust. I tidy all that up so it looks a bit better. So I'm going to start the disassembly of the connectors at the end here, and what I'm going to do is basically draw this out, and then so I don't get them mixed up. So if I just draw it roughly like this, I'll show you what I'm doing in a minute. So there's one connector there, one connector there, there, and there. As I take them off, I'm going to sellotape them to the piece of paper so I know they're in the right place. Because we both know I'm going to get them mixed up. And then I'll just pop that out of the way. In fact, what I'll do before I get too deep into it, I'll put this on a one of these lids I've got, and then I can just put it out the way so it's not under my feet. So for reorientation, I've just put the two halves back together and checked some photos, and I've got it all, the two halves orientated the correct way. I've got my diagram orientated the correct way as well. So I'm going to take that off now, because what I want to do is remove all of these connectors, and I want to put them into the correct bin, you know, my little tubs here. So I put them back in the correct order. They're quite tight, so I'm going to have to sort of go quite carefully, but I don't know. I'm just looking down inside there. There's a little, I don't know if it shows on camera or not, there's a little tiny sort of fitting inside there. I'm guessing that's probably stuck inside, so I'll leave that. I'm not after dismantling the whole thing. I want those off because I want to clean it all. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take all those off, and then I'll come back to you. Okay, so this is completely stripped down now. Inside each chamber, let me show you. Let's take chamber one. Inside each chamber, so you had this, let's put it back together. You had this connector on the top. Where is it? So you can see chamber one is there. So I unscrewed that, which is just basically a nut. I forget what you call this, but it allows fuel through at the same time. And inside there's a little tiny, comes out, sort of plastic fitting. I'm not sure what it does yet. It looks like a filter, actually. Not sure my eyes are good enough to see that. So there's one of those in each of these fittings. I'm going to just basically clean everything up and make sure everything's there. Strangely, I think one of them had two of these little fittings inside, two of these. But we'll find out in a second when I go through reassembling. What I am going to do now is tidy up this housing. There's not a great deal more to do on this. I'm going to soak it in some, probably some like thinners or something, just to get any deposits out, dissolve any sort of build up. Then I'll do my trick on the top, probably mask it all off and spray it up black, and then we'll start the reassembly. So I've cleaned them up now, and what I'm going to do is bathe them in white spirit to dissolve any of the residue and sort of basically give them a bit of a scrub. Right, the next part is to replace these O-rings. So if we can just pick out these. Right, one. So let's pick the one that is correct for that. Probably not him. Okay, I suspect it's the same as his. I'll take the other one off. We know that's the top. Just draw our bit. If I draw things, then I won't get things mixed around the wrong way. So I've drawn it. That's the O-ring that came off that end. And if I take the other one off, it's kind of stuck in. Oh, there he is. Okay, so that way around. They're the two O-rings I've taken off. Out of the selection of O-rings I've got a lot of very small ones. I've got these two bigger ones, which I don't think it's any of those. I think they go in the body, so I'm not going to bring those into the picture for a minute. I've got these two, which are the same, both the same size. I think they're the ones that go on here. First I'm going to give this a little bit of a clean up. Okay, so I put a little bit of engine oil in the lid here. Sort of lubricate this a tiny bit and see if we can get this to fit. Hope it's the right one. I'm not convinced. No, it probably is actually. There's going to be a little bit of work to get it there. There we are. Right, there's one in. Actually, it wasn't too bad to get in. Second one, a little bit of oil. Straight on. Okay, so those two are now fitted in place. So I'm going to pop that in a bag, like this one. And that will go away, waiting now until all the other bits are assembled. So looking at each cylinder, compartment, whatever you want to call it in turn, they have these components. So there's the nut with the fitting that allows fuel to go through it that I don't know the name of. There's the spring with its little hat. There's a washer that it sits on. There are two washers that go with the nut and bolt. And then there's this little filter, which I'm going to just keep to one side at the moment. I'll put it there so you can see what is there. I'm taking these little tiny filters that are inside each of the those fuel fittings. I'll show you those in a second. And cleaning them with brake cleaning fluid. So just sort of basically tapping around here, scrubbing them with a little toothbrush, etc. And then I'm popping them back into their relevant compartments. Now, I'm holding one here. I'll just put it down for a second. What I find is it's got 8 boxes with 8 bits of everything, including these little filters. You know, I've got 8 of those, 1 in each compartment. And I've got a spare one. That was in cylinder 5. So for some reason, cylinder 5, or injector 5 as it really is, whatever you want to call it, had 2 of these by mistake. So whoever rebuilt the fuel distributor last time round put too many in. So we're going to wrap up this video there. So we have the fuel distributor all stripped apart now, all the parts cleaned up. I've gone ahead and sprayed the actual unit itself, give it a zoomed in view. I won't pick up the other half in case I drop it. But that's looking pretty good. In the next video I'm going to do the reassembly. I've got all the pieces here that I need. I've got a couple more O-rings to do, and then the silver diaphragm, and that should be pretty straightforward to put back together. And then the video after that, what I'm planning to do is get the entire fueling system out here on the bench. So that'd be, you know, a mocked up fuel tank, so just a fuel container, fuel pump, the fuel distributor with the MAF sensor and everything connected up with fuel lines and injectors into little pots. And we can actually get it running and check that it all works properly. I can also then do measure the amount of fuel that each injector is putting through and balance it all correctly, which again I know nothing about, but we'll work it out on the fly. So thanks as always for watching. Please subscribe, and if you can hit the little like button for each video, that really helps YouTube sort of filter it up to the top so people see it. And I look forward to the next time.